Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on this week's episode of Unboxed. But before we get into the episode, I want to talk about our brilliant sponsor, Comey. I recently discovered Comey on Lizzo, Addison Rae and Idris Elba's socials. So I asked the team to get in touch to see what they were up to because what they are doing is truly groundbreaking. What's apparent at Comey is that they fundamentally understand the creator space and are passionate about enabling creators to achieve their best results online. Comey empowers creators, music artists and influencers to build a fully personalized landing page, acting as a website and link in bio. Comey provides you with an easy-to-use drag-and-drop tool that makes it easy for you to build a fully personalized hub in under 5 minutes. Check out unboxed.comey.io as an example, or Gwen Stefani's or Idris Elba's. It also allows you to share content with your viewers, which they may not have seen. If you're posting a YouTube video, they may not have seen your book or your gigs or any other thing that you might want to promote. So all of it's in one place. It's very simple. It is the link in bio 2.0, and I'm so excited for you to check it out. Later on in the series, you'll hear from Lewis and Ben, the two co-founders of Comey, to see their meteoric rise to date and how they've managed to onboard creators with over 1 billion followers between them in just under a year. That is staggering. In the meantime, if you want to check out Comey and see how it looks in action, head to my account or Lizzo's or Addison Rae's to see how it really works. It is a brilliant platform that I couldn't recommend highly enough. So if you really want to elevate your link in bio game, then head to comey.io for more to see how you can join up all of the content in your world into one central place. Mariam, welcome to Unboxed. I'm so pleased that you can join us today. Thank you so much for coming. So just to get straight into it, what inspires you on a personal level?
When I watch something and I leave thinking, oh my God, that's amazing, I want to do something like that, that's what inspires me. Or I guess seeing people that have been doing what I'm doing for so long and it's like you're actually finally seeing the rewards. I feel like you reap what you sow. So sometimes I think it can be so hard seeing like things happening for so many people. But when you have your key core people and you saw them from start to finish and they're finally getting like that type of recognition, it's just so like, wow, like I can't wait for that to be me.
Yeah,
so,
and you see that I think with a lot of creators you're saying who've done that graph for a long time because there's no shortcuts.
Exactly,
and I think people often sometimes think, oh, they're over here with how many hundreds of thousands, millions of followers they got there overnight, and that doesn't exist. I think you see that in your comments as well, right? People are so like proud of your journey and where you've come and how you've got there. I mean, what's that like to have that relationship with your audience as well?
Honestly, like it's one of the best things. I think that sometimes you can forget about all the good you've done and all the things you've accomplished because sometimes in this space you're always thinking, okay, what's next? You're seeing someone do something else. How am I supposed to do that? So when you have that audience and when you are quite open and vulnerable and showing them the good, the bad and ugly, you just become so much more relatable. And then when they see you talk about your dreams, see you talk about the failures, see you talk about what you've learned, it's like when you finally kind of do it right, they just be like, you were saying this like 2 months ago, you were saying this last year, like, and it's so rewarding because sometimes you're so focused on going and maybe sometimes thinking, oh, am I doing enough? And then when you just take a minute and read back comments and look back at your work, sometimes you just, I don't know, when I look back at comments, I look back at my work, I'm so proud of myself because you just don't focus on how well you've done more than I need to go anymore. I need to,
As you should be. You've done obviously amazingly well.
Thank you.
And I think, something interesting about that treadmill and that almost chasing your tail because there's no end. It's like there's never ending. It's sort of like, I guess, with people with money or with it's the same thing. It's like this, you can keep going forever. How do you find that that sort of insatiability of content creation where there's almost when is enough? Because there is no end point. How do you find that on a sort of personal level?
So I started off like influencing, like YouTube, that kind of stuff, just kind of seeing how it goes. And I feel like with YouTube, you could just keep going and you can also change your content, change the way you do things. But then I think there's always that point where you do think, okay, I've done this enough now. What next can I go onto to basically just progress?
It's almost more you have to push yourself constantly to open new doors and never getting settled. And I guess also I can imagine never getting fixated on numbers and fixated on growth because do you ever find that difficult?
Yeah, of course. I think it's like with any job. Like I used to work in retail, so I was a manager in H&M at one point. Yeah, so it's like sales is so important. So when we're not converting customers, it's like they're coming in but they're not buying. So it's all of that. So in any job, you're gonna feel like you've got to check your sales, your numbers because you want to keep engaged. Like they pay your bills, they you know what I mean, help you get more brand deals and stuff like that. You have to kind of like see, okay, there's a dip, there's a bit of a change, there's a shift, there's a problem. What have I done differently? What am I not doing enough of? That's caused this, and then that kind of allows you to improve work, and then that's you kind of like innovating your career, your concept. And I had to explain like say for example this video doesn't get loads of views, it's a bit like your pride goes a bit like, oh, that's really annoying, especially when you do put a lot of effort. But then you kind of take a minute and be like, okay, they didn't engage well with this, why? And then you can actually look back and be like, actually they really like this. Then it's like, how can I still get what I might have spent so much time and effort in, even though they didn't really enjoy it? How can I still do something that I'm enjoying and loving and want to produce? Because sometimes it's not about what you want. Sometimes it's about what your audience wants. And sometimes when you want to change or improve or, shift it a little bit, they might not, take well to it.
Yeah,
So
people don't like change generally, right?
They don't. So it's like using those moments to kind of like find the best way to kind of get that growth back up again, just by taking that L or taking that dip and then looking at something that's good and then just kind of finding a way. And it's trial and error, isn't it? You'll never know unless you try a couple of times and see what works. You have to be willing not to let the numbers get you down, because you have to have some lows to kind of find the high anyways.
100%. And almost letting it be a source of informing you and helping you, but not dictating and driving you.
Yeah, definitely. Right? It's like constructive criticism, and it's just black and white. They like this, they don't like this one. Okay, what can I do to keep the momentum and keep them still?
I guess what you just said about black and white is quite important, because actually it's so brutally honest, because you're dealing with like data and numbers. You can't kind of hide that. So I guess it's a mindset thing to be able to overcome that, as you say, and turn that into something really constructive. And obviously that can't always be easy, but if you let it guide you in the right way, as you're saying, it can lead you to amazing things. When have you done that successfully?
My fashion videos was a really, really big point in my career, I think. Like, I'm so happy I'd done that, because I feel like it got me out there, but also allowed people to see the personality. Whether I'm not saying nothing, it's a little something, and it just kind of...
It's like, relatable, right?
Yeah, relatable. Yeah. So kind of go in and shift in with the times. But I think those styling videos and shifting with the type of makeup, and also jumping on podcasting now, like, it's just, you've got to be tactical, but also like still yourself, but just know it's an ongoing industry. That's like the music industry. Music changes with era,
constantly evolving,
and if you're not involved with the music, you'll get a bit left behind. And sometimes change is scary and hard, but when I would say like the fashion videos and the change and shift of makeup videos with the high equipment and quality is where I kind of followed that, and I think it helped. Yeah,
100%. I think that was 2019. Was 2019?
2019, like 2019. 2019 I think is when I started, before COVID. Before.
And you were doing quite a lot of collabs at the time as well, right? So how did you find it with brands? Was people like Nella? Like, how did you find like doing more collabs, doing more partnerships, like that switch? Because that's also, I guess, a tactical switch as well, right?
I think, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I think in this industry, collaborations work so well, because imagine you've got someone from one end of the spectrum that has their own audience, and then someone from another end of the spectrum that has their own audience. So when you come together, that's multiple, on top of like telling people, like people that don't even follow you guys, the two people, like, this was a funny video, this was so good. So it plays an impact, because when you look at the big stars in our industry, when I think of personality, entertainment, Chunks, Harry, Philly, like Michael Dapper, like, they're friends. But come on, like, we know together as a duo, it's like, it works, it's entertaining, and they benefit from it. They get to hang around their friends, but also, they're always bringing each other up and like making the bag together, and it works. And, there's so much room and so much space for everyone, that why not do it with your friends who happen to be in the same industry and who happen to have an audience? And again, you can give... Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it. I think it's a good tactic. You kind of need to.
100%. I actually think, in a way, not that it's been lost a little bit, but there aren't as many, especially on YouTube, I think, as many as there were. There was a time, maybe pre-COVID, it was maybe a catalyst, but there was a time when people were doing loads of collabs. And actually, you're right. I think that mindset should never really go, because ultimately that's the way you can build. That's the way you can, add on and layer up different audiences to get everyone winning at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I think, as a Black creator, I can talk from a Black creator's perspective. I just know how hard it is, and the harsh realities of it. It's not always, plain sailing. It's not always fair. So when you are in an industry and, you've got your sisters around you, you've got your brothers around you, it's like, let's just do it together, because there's no reason why it should just be one of us, when there's so much of us that has the potential to do it and want to do it. So everyone should just kind of like help each other. And then as an individual, you shine naturally anyway. You're always going to, like, I can watch like all the side men, and there'll be just one, I'll be like, this guy is my favorite. Like, he's just funny. Like, that's just how it is. But you come together, you brought the audience, and you've just made a good show. And, you've gained as well, on top of having a good time with your friends. So.
100%. So you talk about harsh realities.
Yes.
I think it's good, important to get into that a little bit, because I remember when I was working at YMU actually, and I remember with the LA team having a lot of beauty creators, fashion creators and so on, and the challenges that like Black creators, Latino creators had out there especially, and it's the same over here, right, I'm sure, was like fierce. It was a different world. Talk us through some of those harsh realities, some of the challenges, because you're saying it's not always easy.
No, like I'll give you two really good examples, because they were the ones that I was actually upset about, and that's when I realized, oh right, it's actually not as fair as you would think. I was invited to do this like collaboration shoot with 4 other girls, and we all were told I was told by my management at the time that no one was getting paid. Like it was just like a favor, like it'll be really good. So boom, no problems, I'll do it.
I know where this is going.
I'll do it. So we got there, and I'm so grateful. Like sometimes I just feel like God just works in the best ways, because you know when no one talks about money, no one ever says anything. One of the girls in the shoot said to me like, oh yeah, like I don't really think the pay for the shoot is that much. Like, I'm a bit annoyed by it, but like, you're getting paid. And I obviously I'm a manager, so I know how you just don't talk about whatever. So I was like, oh, I don't even know. Like, my management's dealing with it, but yeah, I'll ask him. So then I asked my management, I was like, oh, the girls told me like they're all getting paid. Obviously, I'm not getting paid. Obviously, like, it's always hard because you never want to jump straight to, is it because I'm Black? Do you know what I mean? You never want to jump to that. You always want to go into something feeling like it's a fair playing field. So obviously, I was the only full Black woman on the shoot. So of course, you're just going to start thinking, why am I the only one that's not getting paid? See, my manager spoke to the brand and were like, what's going on? And they had said that, oh, the only reason why I wasn't getting paid is because they were in talks of an e-com day. So e-commerce days where you go into like you go into the brands shooting all their clothes, and they pay you for that day. And obviously it's good because your face will be on that brand. So I was all right, cool, that's fine. But then obviously they had a conversation like, that's not fair. Like, is she still doing work? She needs to be paid like the rest of the girls. So I finally got
did
paid.
your management not know, by the way?
No, they didn't know.
Yeah,
they didn't.
Right.
So it's so
must
weird.
Be an interesting set
it was
that one.
so awkward as well. And I was just like,
can we talk over here?
They're getting paid and I'm not. I really sorts out.
I've heard that so many times.
Really? That's so
and it happens
bad.
a lot in the States, and there are a few times where, you know, Black female creators, especially dark-skinned Black women female creators, were getting pushed down the pecking order, little things. And again, it's interesting, you might not always want to jump to those conclusions, but patterns repeating themselves. You can't help but have those conclusions, especially when the representation in the brands is so poor.
Exactly.
Right?
And literally, I remember I got paid no problem. And then after, there was nothing about the e-commerce day. Like, nothing happened after that. And I remember it was actually someone else in the shoot that got the e-commerce day. Obviously, I don't feel like we look the same, but I was like, okay, cool, not that deep. But then I realized, like, if that girl hadn't said something to me in that shoot, I feel like I wouldn't have got paid, and I don't think they would have called me for the e-commerce either. And it's like those moments, like that way, it's like, you can be just so put down, and you can have them situations, you just got to keep going and keep fighting. And my most recent one, this was recently, I was invited to this brand trip, and they sent us all the list of everyone going. Like, so it was confirmed, contracts were signed, like the day before. I got told that, oh, there's been a change in talent. And I've had a lot of that recently, and it's like, it makes you start to think, what's wrong with me? Like, is it me? So when that one happened, it was really sad, because literally everyone in that brand, there was only 2 girls of colour in that brand trip, and that would have been on that brand trip. But then obviously I got uninvited, ideally, and then there was only 1 woman of colour in that brand trip. So I was just thinking, when I look back, and obviously I was watching the day, and I was thinking, so no one got uninvited. Everyone literally looked the same other than that woman of colour. So I was just thinking, so why wouldn't you guys think to, instead of uninviting me for the diversity to show? And do you know what I mean? There's different types of Black girls at the end of the day. Like, I didn't see a Black girl that I could say, oh, okay, cool, like that's my person. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's different. And if it's like brands, sometimes I do feel like the diversity thing is kind of, I don't know, maybe they just use it when it's the right time.
Or because there's pressure without it being sincere.
And that's why it's really sad about the industry sometimes. But those 2 moments, it was really heartbreaking, because it's like you work so hard and you
and you get excited about these things.
Yeah, it's such a good opportunity. And it's like, then when you have them moments, you can literally just feel like, what's wrong with me? Like,
But you're saying, like, that's not easy, right? And that's not easy on a personal level and emotional level generally. And when you start seeing patterns and so on, it must be quite difficult, because you feel probably like you're up against a beast over here, which
Yeah.
is difficult to actually
And
overcome.
you think
Like, how
maybe
do you,
I'm not good enough.
yeah,
like,
what's
I'm not meant to
wrong with
be
me,
there.
right? And that's, you know, not the case. And so the question then I have is, how do you look after yourself? Because actually that is a lot, and you're very, you know, very resolved, and you're somebody who clearly can deal with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And that's how you've been able to persevere and get through so much in your career and get to this amazing point today. But how do you look after yourself? Because it's not an easy game, right?
No. And I honestly feel like having friends outside of the game is so important. Having like family that are really understanding the career when you want to go to is important. And also looking back at your work and looking back at your comments, because when I have a random day where I look back at my comments or I look back at my work, I'm like, you know what, I'm so lit. Like, I deserve to be here. I've worked so hard. And it's like, it's a long game. So this part might be the hardest part because you're so close to the finish line. They always say that when you're so ready to give up, don't, because that's when the breakthrough will come in. So that's my mental. But comments, like having real people that really believe in you outside of the industry, I think,
and the internet,
and the internet, plays a big part, where you can just remember who you are, look in the mirror. And even like I did this the other day, it made me cry, but it really worked. Like, I spoke to myself in the mirror, I said, you're good enough, you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it, you're gonna, I don't know how to explain it. It was a moment where I just feel like it's fine, it happens, you just have to deal with it and just keep going. Like, I believe hard work pays off, and you have to believe in yourself, because no one else will. 100%. You have to like show them who you are.
And do you have a good support structure and system for you?
100%, yeah. My assistant yesterday gave me the biggest pep talk. Like, it was nice. Like, because sometimes you just need it, because you're always on go and thinking like, you want to do this, you want to do that, you want this to happen. So sometimes you need those people. And like when you have genuine friends and family, they will always remind you who you are and make you never forget, so that the outside noise doesn't make you have to change or doubt yourself. Yeah,
for sure. And I think it's heightened as well in specifically your part of the creator economy as well, in fashion, in a scene which is all about looks and about appearance, and is very exposing, right? And you have to, like, that must be also hard when it comes to like, comments and as you say, having to deal with some criticism and all those sort of things. I mean, how do you on a day-to-day level deal with that as well?
So on a day-to-day level, as I'm getting older, I have to kind of laugh at it. I don't know if it's TikTok. I feel like TikTok is just it's changed the game. Yeah. So TikTok, I see.
Do you like TikTok?
I like TikTok. I need to learn how to grow properly, but it's a learning curve. But I like TikTok. Yeah. It's a bit scary because people will really come for you on there. Those comment sections are a bit mad. Hot, but it makes you realise that everyone gets it. Yeah. Whether you're normal, 9 to 5, whether you're entrepreneur, whether you're a celebrity, you will get it. And it's because it's a public domain where people can comment, and you have to just laugh at it and allow people to be entitled to their opinions. You have to really know yourself. And it can be hard, especially when there's so much at once sometimes. But laughing at it and not thinking too much about it is an opinion, not a fact. Yeah. Is an opinion, not a fact. Yeah.
For sure. And then I guess the other thing as well, which I love about everything you do too, is your openness and your vulnerability. I know we touched on that a bit before. Yeah. But why is it so important to be open and vulnerable with your audience? Because I think, as you said, it's a bit of a superpower, right? Once you can, I guess, on a personal level, harness it.
Yeah. I think I don't know how to explain it. I remember when I started YouTube and I kept it quite makeup. I had my personality, but I didn't really let people in too much. And people were like, I don't know why you're so bubbly. You're so genuine. Like, it was really nice. So as I started doing that, I felt like it makes you stronger. Because them ones where to be yourself unapologetically, you're good, you're bad, you're ugly, your tantrums, your everything, and show people you're human. And I think that's why people connect more with you, because people can have moments where I don't like how Mariam handles that situation. Yeah. But I've like, that's me. I've owned it. Yeah. And it makes people connect with you more. And I think it links back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like when they do see the bad side, it makes you more connected. Because I do feel like social media has made such a perfect blur of life and the industry. Like, it's so easy. Like, it's not. It's very 100%. Hard. You see the highlights, right? Yeah, you see the highlights. And sometimes how I am and how I want to be, like, I really want to get there to where I want. And a lot of times people just show people that they're there, and also, or they show the shortcut to there, and then, I worked really hard after the shortcut or whatever. I'm more than happy to show the whole journey, because it's like, when I get there, it's like, rush.
Yeah, like, we've been here since the beginning.
Yeah, it's like something to look back on, and it also is inspiring. People can actually learn, and for sure. You know what I mean?
But also, I think that's how you create a genuinely sticky, real community of people who've been with you from the beginning, because that journey, that's time, and you can't replace time, right? And so I think people then feel truly invested in what you've done, and they'll stay with you forever, right? So I think it's absolutely worth it. What was the first moment or the first time you decided to be vulnerable with people? And was it scary?
The first time I think I was really vulnerable was, the video deleted now, but I went through a breakup, a very public breakup, and I wasn't sure whether I'd talk about the breakup because, you know, when you're in a public relationship, people are waiting for it at the end of the day, like, you know, and I get it. And that's with this job, there's certain things that you have to kind of get, like, what it comes with.
When you put yourself out there, there's the expectation, and it's hard to then,
Yeah, so I thought that, I think for me, that was the most I'd been vulnerable because I shared such a personal experience of, you know, being heartbroken, being, you know, done dirty by, and there were so many like nasty things that was involved in that I was just very open and honest about. And when you're open to show that, oh, someone is capable of like messing me about, or someone's capable of making me look stupid, it's scary because it's like, I'm letting the world know I'm so dumb and blind.
I got tricked by this, or
exactly.
For sure.
What happened by doing that was, it just kind of allowed me to just accept things happen. I'm human. People go through this all the time. I just happen to be on a platform.
Conversation was like, me too, me too.
Exactly.
Like, thank you.
Thank you for sharing the story. So once I'd done that, it was nice. And I think once you share these stories, whether I'm talking about my religion, whether I'm talking about, you know, the career, like, I'm very open if I'm having a bad day, if it's good or not. It's kind of like, Maz, we see you, and it's just nice. Like, and
I guess
that was
you
the
get
first time.
more support from your audience in doing that, right? Because I think people respect vulnerability so much because it's actually such a rare thing to do in a truly authentic way. And because you do that, you get people in the comments, therefore, like, really looking to you for support, but also there to help you as well, right? Because they see a reflection of themselves in you through your vulnerability, which is amazing. What was it like for you to jump into the world of podcasting? How have you found it now? What, a year?
Yeah, it's been a year now, like over a year now. So honestly, when we got into it, it was so new. Like, even when we started listening to like podcasting before, obviously you got the OGs, the Receipts podcast, like really good podcasts. Like, they've been here for so long, they've done so many things. So that's as far as what I knew of podcasting. And then there was other spaces like Clubhouse and all them places where people are talking and having conversations. And I feel like our friendship, we talk about everything, like whatever's on the TL, whatever we're feeling, what has us annoyed. And that concept of what has you pressed, it was kind of like, come together as friends. The team came together as well, and we came up with that idea. And since doing it, it's just opened this kind of space of being seen a bit more on the host side and more on the personality side, and having the ability to like interview people that are completely different, like artists, actors. Is just such a great opportunity, and I'm so grateful and happy that we locked into that space. And if anyone wants to do podcasting, they should. It's
great, isn't it?
It's great. Such a new
fun
thing.
to meet people, isn't it?
And just talk.
Like,
it's like you're
so
flying on the convos, isn't it?
That's it. And how important do you think your friendships have been in order to actually make it a success?
Yeah, definitely important. I think is when I think of like podcasting and conversations, it's about chemistry. And I think as individuals, we have our own individual like spark. But then when it comes together, it's just like the chemistry, the banter, the way I think might be completely different to the way Adjola thinks. And it's good to have that like back and forth, because people will get Adjola's point and people will get my point, and it's just, once again, having that audience and connecting because you're so open and you're just having a free conversation with your friends. Like, that's how it has been, and the opportunities there has been amazing.
And you're doing it with BBC Sounds?
Yes.
What's it been like to kind of work with, obviously, team like the BBC, real production, crews, teams? Like, what's that process been like? Obviously, coming from a world of DIY content on YouTube, how's it been like to work with a crew on everything?
It's been so much more easier, and I think the support is there as well. Like, even from like the setup is like, you tell them like what you want and what you think will make the podcast better, and they'll always help to improve it, because I think that's what they want. They want the podcast to do good, and having the total creative control with certain things is nice as well. From the conversations we want to have, the guests we want to have, it just feels like whatever you want to do, what vision you have, they can do it, or we'll work towards it. And sometimes when you are doing DIY, sometimes you don't actually know where to start from to even get to the first part of what you want. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, are there things from that process which you have taken into your personal content in terms of the way people produce things or they plan things? Has there been any sort of lessons that you've learned?
I've definitely learned speaking, like as in the actual art of speaking and holding that kind of interview conversational type, because that's like a I don't know, you're naturally trained. Yes, you're naturally trained, and there's certain things like, even your media training, how to answer certain questions. It's like, I've learned so much off of like doing podcasting to that. And recently we done an interview with Letitia Bryant, Tamara Lawrence, and that was amazing.
How was that?
It was good. Like it was so good. So now I've watched that. I watched it back this morning. I was thinking, I was nervous the first 5 minutes, but once again, I've learned that by watching that in this opportunity. So moving forward, BBC, there's a new movie, can we do this? And boom, then I know, okay, now I don't need to be as nervous. I've done it. So yeah, there's always opportunities to develop and train. And even radio, like there's opportunities to do radio. So
would you ever get into radio properly?
Absolutely. I love like mainstream music. Like I can imagine in the morning, I'm always hyped before gym. I'll get you lot ready.
Soon, watch this space. Watch this space. One thing I was thinking, the podcast is press. It's obviously about an unfiltered way of looking at the world. How do you find towing the line with things? Do you guys ever have those conversations? I was a bit far, cut that. Like what? How do you find that process? Because that can also be a challenge, right?
Okay, so I spill some tea. So I don't know if we're allowed to say this, but I guess. With podcasting, I feel like you always need a little bit of Dutch courage. And I don't know if you know what that meaning is. Like a little bit.
So you just got to go for it.
You got to go for it. And I think when you go for it like that is a better episode. Just be free, have it as you would normally.
Let the producer deal with it.
But one thing that is nice, we obviously get to listen back. Yeah. So if we do feel like, obviously, in the less of the Dutch courage moment, we're like, maybe that's overshared a bit too much. You have that to kind of to retract it back a little bit. But 9 out of 10, we said what we said, and it is what it is. Like it's our conversation, it's our opinions, and have your opinion back if you don't agree, and we have to take that. And I think it builds us for bigger stuff when we might have a mad topic that maybe is an uncomfortable one, but these build character and growth, and it just makes you better. So
what's been the most uncomfortable, challenging topic you've had to navigate?
I think the most challenging topic to navigate is anything either relationship, because I think that side of my life hasn't always been, especially in this new era, new relationship, it's not always been I've kept it very private. Yeah. And obviously I'm such an open person. So sometimes, and it's out of respect for that partner, do you understand? Sometimes you just naturally be talking because you're so happy and rah, and then you're like, actually, I've said too much. I've got to take that back because I want to share this, but it's just not something I can really share.
And vulnerability sort of offsets a lot of that, right? When you're honest that maybe you don't have the answers, this is what you think, but you're not saying this is true for everybody and all of that kind of stuff. I think makes a lot of sense. So what are your tips for podcasters trying to get in the space?
First of all, I would say obviously all you need is a nice setup that works well for you. It can be in your bedroom and you're literally sitting there with your friend. I think sometimes we think we need to get a whole production company. Obviously it helps, and I feel like if you can, then of course go for it, but all you need are the basics. Good chat, good chemistry, and get the best bits from the episode, put it on TikTok, like the viral stuff, it's tactical, play with it, be fun with it, but at the same time, there is a blatant thing that works that we're seeing. The trending, when we think of podcasting, there's always them moments, them good conversations that work.
What's going to get on the shade bar?
What's going to get on the shade bar? They always said bad press isn't always bad press, right? So think about it like that. And if you really want to make it, you got to just kind of ask yourself the questions okay, how far do I want to go in a couple of years? You have set goals, I would say, with podcasting, whether it's, okay, I want to make sure that every episode, we have 3 clips coming out every week, those little things. And I would just say collaborate, of course. If you can collaborate with someone, if you can go on other people's podcasts, show them that you also have a podcast. And network is so important I always believe sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I would say use that for your advantage.
Especially in this space.
Yeah, definitely. Right. If there's any things where it's even if you get invited somewhere that might not make sense, but you just don't know who you might meet. Yeah. And because for so much of us for so long, I feel like, because we're in Gen Z now, innit? So it's very quick paced, everything's fast paced, everything's shortcut. So a lot of people, I think, done the long way of hard, long work. And I don't think that's still a bad way of doing things. But it's just being a bit more switched on with what's popping and going on right now, and utilising and capitalising off of that for your own self and your own content. Yeah, because got money I have to make. For sure.
I have to make. Great. Moving on to your brand.
Yes,
you recently did your first pop-up.
Yes,
which is very exciting.
Thank you.
And I was so interested to come and ask you, how was that going from? Because this, I having done quite a lot, especially over the last year and a half with the Sidemen and with everything we're doing with size and everything like that. The retail move is a tricky one. How did you find that whole process? And sorry, explain what your brand is.
Okay, so MIMA Cosmetics is my brand. So it's a cosmetics brand. We started off last year, and we've how I saw it was, let's start with utensils, the brushes, the beauty blender, the basic things. And you know when you're just like your own, everything comes from, there's no, what's the word? There's no nothing is door. Anything I do with influencing, anything I do podcasting, my hard-earned money in that goes into what? For this, for my future.
For sure.
So I think initially when I started, it was more like, all right, cool, let me get the utensils out. Let's obviously make some money back.
And fully self-funded.
Yeah, fully self-funded. Wow. We had people on our team who helped, but as in my management team as well. So, but it is now it's just fully funded. You know what I mean? So so it's like your hard-earned money and you just put it in, and then it's done really well. Like I'm shocked by how well it's done. And I think when I initially started the business, I was a bit worried because, you know, there's this thing at the moment where makeup brands just bring out things so quickly. And then being in it, I'm like, it's not that quick, guys. There's a lot to it. And when you're a perfectionist and you like a thing a certain way, I would never want to bring out something that I just don't feel like they will like or it's bad. So I've had to like deal with that. And then leading up to the pop-up, it was like, it's coming to the end of the year, like it'll be nice to give back. And the pop-up style I did was, I'm still a YouTuber, I'm still an influencer, like I'm still all them things. So I still want to be relatable. I don't want people to think I'm so far gone that I forgot who got me here in the first place.
For sure.
So I really wanted to do a live makeup demo. People have known me from the beginning from doing makeup. We also introduced having like a live Q&A with, I don't know if you know Brini Lee, she does. Oh, I loved it. It was so good. Amazing. And we had, because people were so interested in coming to obviously meet the brand owner, but through that personal of the YouTuber. And also like there's more than just coming in and buying our stuff. It's like, I want to give back to you guys. And it was really good. Like it just, I don't know, so moments like that when I actually spend time with
Makes it real, doesn't it?
It's so real, it's so worth it. Like sometimes you're so ready to give up and so like, I can't be in this industry, it's too hard. And then boom, you meet a subscriber or follower and they're like, I'm so proud of you, you're doing so well. Like I love you. And like, this is what I'm doing. I forgot. This is why.
Because it's numbers on the screen until you bring it into the real world, right? Which is why it's so powerful to do that. And I'm sure the conversations you had must have been so kind of consoling, right?
It was so consoling. Like it was so good. Like I had to kind of be there, but it was so good.
100%. It was so exciting. And massive congrats on
Thank you.
doing it yourself, because it is incredibly hard. And you've done such an amazing job, and you've got it in such a brilliant place. So excited to see where it all goes. It's amazing. Right, so to the future, where do you want to take your channels and your whole business world next? What's next for you?
Just going into new year, like focus with MIMA and getting it where I want it and how I want it. And also I think getting into more of the personality, presenting and hosting. And I think I've really found who I am and what I want to do. And that's so important. Like instead of like focus on outside noise, you have to really tunnel vision of, I want to do this. So for me, hosting, presenting, going on more platforms that, you know, I'm a lot of fun. And I feel like it would be nice to be on certain platforms with something so different. Like I'm such a different energy. So it's like, let's have a good time with that.
Yeah, I love it. So next one is, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self or to a new creator starting out? What would you say to them as to how you can grow, maintain, build, and keep yourself sane in the process?
Okay, so I will always say, like, go into whatever you go into, like, genuine. Because I feel like you can always suss out when you're not a genuine person or if you're out for yourself. So go in there with like purest of hearts, because I really do believe you reap what you sow, basically. So if you're a positive person and you're supporting people and, you know, you're saying that consistent person, I believe it comes back. Sometimes it doesn't, but keep being a good person. Like, don't let the world change you, and don't let the world make you feel like you're less important. I would say stick to like the close people, have that separation, because sometimes you can get so involved with it, and that's how mess starts in the industry, and that's how issues start. Like, keep your real ones real with you, and work hard, stay consistent, network, and just be a nice person. I don't know how much more I can say that. I think it plays. If you can walk into the room and have 5 minutes conversation, you've impacted them in such a positive way, they're going to remember you, and they're going to be like, let me email that girl from that event. I really like, just show your best self and just be so genuine with it. I guess that's my best advice. I believe that
I fully agree.
Good hearts win.
And then finally, who is a creator who you are loving at the moment?
Amelia. Yeah. I'm loving Amelia at the moment. I think I've been watching her from the chicken shop dates for years, and that's what
at the party.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, you could be right when she was going.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows about longevity, because she's been doing that for so long, was her concept idea, and to see it to where she is now. And even like the My Jammers, like even all of the boys in the industry, is Harry, Chunks and Philly, and then like Nella and Joel, all my friends, like they're all, I think we've all started kind of around the same time. And now I feel like everyone's just blossoming into like themselves for this industry. And yeah, I'm so happy for everyone. So it's like I do look up to all of them, honestly. Yeah.
Amazing. Mariam, thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I've had a really good chat.
Love it.